Welcome to this HelloID webinar brought to you by Tools Forever. Today we'd like to give you an overview of the new functionality in HelloID. We encourage you to ask questions. You can do this via the chat option. You can find the option here. At the end of the demonstration, your questions will be answered. I'd like to turn this over now to Cheered Sign-In, HelloID Product Owner and Manager. He will explain and demonstrate the new HelloID functionality. Please enjoy, and don't forget to post a question.
Jamie, thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome everybody again. This is already the August release for 2020. And in this webinar, I'd like to cover all the new functionality that we have released this week, beginning of this week. And there's a lot of new functionality, and I will cover all the different modules. I'd like to give a PowerPoint presentation first to just briefly explain the new functionality, and then I will go and demo you the functionality in the product HelloID itself. If you have any questions, please post them, put them in the chat, and at the end of the presentation, I will answer your questions. Okay, so let's go. The first module I'd like to cover is access management. We have 5 new options. The first one is that, and that's more an extension on the functionality already released, is that now you will get notification emails if a certificate in HelloID is going to expire. And I think a lot of people were flooded by emails, also but not relevant expirations. So now you have the option to turn per certificate to enable and disable the notification messages. Long wanted item is that your SMS text message as part of the MFA flow. It was already available as a separate MFA, but now it's also part of the MFA flow. So an end user can enroll or choose the multi-factor themselves as part of the MFA flow. So SMS is being added, and I will definitely demo this new functionality later on. This is a small one, is that second factor option is default administration role, a minor thing I would say. I think a bigger one, wanted item, is that you have priorities on the access rules. Access rules were randomly chosen if an access rule was applicable, if one user had multiple access rules applicable for that user, and then HelloID randomly choose one of those rules. And of course, that's an unwanted situation. And now you can set priorities, and then the first access rule that's going to be hit, that's going to be executed, and not the other ones anymore. And of course, I will demo and explain this later on in the functionality in the product itself. Last item for access management is that you have, of course, you could already set IP restriction. So you can also, for example, apply a 2-factor or a non-2-factor if you're in the office, and then you can exclude that on IP address. But if the office IP address was changing, you constantly had to update your access rules. And now you can automatically maintain that via the agent IP address, because it's already available in HelloID, but now it's also being used in the access rules. I will demo this as well. Okay, the other module is service automation. We have 3 new items, some smaller ones and a big one. Is that you have the return date in the request history for the admin, so you can see when the product is going to be returned for a particular user. As an end user, if you request a product, you can see who's going to approve. You can also turn that option on and off, but as an end user, you have more information on who's going to approve. I think a bigger one is that you now have categories in the service desk section, especially helpful if you have a lot of applications. Now you can group them together by category. Okay, last module, provisioning. 8 new options. We already had the option to manage OUs, but now you also have it for update. So if a person is being updated, for example, a new department or job title, and that has an effect on the location of that person in the Active Directory OU structure. If that's being updated, you can move that user to the correct OU. If you set up HelloID, it's more easy if you can import the source and target mapping information. You had to do that till today all by hand. Now you can easily import mapping that we perhaps already supplied to you. I don't know if you've already seen that, but on GitHub we are publishing more and more connectors, and now we can also include the mapping information. So it will be more and more easy to deploy and install source and target connectors in HelloID for provisioning. We have two new items. They belong to each other. I would say is that if you change a rule, a business rule, we had limited information on what the impact of that change would be on the population. But now you can see that for a person, but also on the entitlements. And I will demo that, and you will see what that change is. The correlation is a little bit more advanced. We correlated every object in the Active Directory, and now we only use the user objects. So objects like contacts and computer accounts are excluded from the correlation, so they're not being updated and touched by the provisioning engine anymore. We also included PowerShell to connect home directories in the on-premise AD target connector. It used to be only a UI, but now you have more flexibility to manage the home directories from HelloID. We already were able to set thresholds on the target connectors, but now you can also set it on the source system. So perhaps you have a lot of target connectors and something is going wrong in your HR system. And now you can easily set that on the source system side. Last but not least, simple to demo, but now you have the option to run PowerShell target connectors from HelloID cloud environment. So you don't need an agent anymore in a target environment anymore. So now HelloID can be truly cloud from source, because we already, in earlier releases, we already included the PowerShell target source connector in the cloud, but now we also have the target connector in the cloud. Okay, a lot of new functionality, and of course I'm excited to demo this new functionality to you. So the first item I'd like to start with is the certificates, and this was already available, and now you can see the expired certificates are being marked as red, and I can turn notification messages simple off, turn off by this with this option. The SMS Flow, I think that's a nice one. If I, as an end user, so let me log in as myself. You can now see that these options were already available, the two-factor options, and this is new. The text message, and if I click on the text message, I fill in my mobile number. I need to confirm it again, and I can send the code. I received the code on my mobile. Of course, I need to type that number in from my mobile. And I need to do it correctly. There we go. And now I'm only enrolled with my, my mobile number on my phone. But this, of course, is it's new functionality. Let me go to the access rules priority. That is available right here. So this is the priority of the access rule. And so this is tied to users. So as Tjeerd Seinen, I'm part of this group and this group. And in the old situation, these policies were being used as random. And of course, that gave unpredictable results. And so now we have priority. So this rule will be used first, and then this rule will be used if a user is in the same group. And I can actually see, I can show you that effect. So let me, because Chad is in this group, I'll change the priority to a higher number. And now the two-factor has a lower priority. So this one will be hit first for myself. So if I log off and log in again, the two-factor will not be used. Simple by just changing the priority of the access rules. This is also available for application access rules, and the priority, the lower the priority number, the more it's being sorted at the top. Another nice change is that you have, suppose you want to use this rule only for people that are in the office, so all the other ones have to do the two-factor. But if you are coming from your own department or your own location, you don't have to use the two-factor. So if you go to the agent pool, you could already see that the IP address is known by HelloID, where the agent resides. And of course, that is the IP address of most of the time of the physical office location. So I can use this IP address right here. But if I use this tick box, then it's automatically being used. So if the IP address of the office is being changed, it's being automatically updated. So I don't have to use this option anymore. So now it's being updated automatically. Okay, so let me move over to the next item, service automation. Service, request history, relatively easy one, but if you have the approved state, or actually also if it's being requested, but in this state, you can see that the return date is being included. So this is a new item. So as an admin, I can see that Tjeerd is going to be returned Adobe Photoshop at this particular date. As an end user, Tjeerd I can also see if I request, for example, Visio, I can see who is going to approve my request. And of course, this was not available, but now you can turn this on and off. I can easily show you how you can turn this on and off. And you need to go to the product. And I believe I use Visio. So I'm using the 3 approvers workflow. 3 approvers. So you have to turn this on and off. If I remove or disable or enable this option, I'm not going to show this list of approvers. I think the biggest one is the categories in the dedicated forms section. So let me go here. You have the service desk. There are many applications in this environment, and this is new. So now you have categories, and you can search also on applications. And so if I only want to see the apps that have to do with group management, I can actually do a multiple select or include user account management. And I can, of course, search on an app as well. The categories are easily managed, very similar to what you're already familiar with this section. You already had categories here, but now you also have categories in this section. So I can manage new categories, and I can tie them up to a form relatively easily with this new option. Okay, let's move on to provisioning. If I go to the provisioning section, we have the update on the organizational unit, and of course that's in the target section. So here you have in administration, this is a new option. So if there is an update on the person, you can move the account in the OU structure, and you can use or not use PowerShell. I think it's easier to use PowerShell because most of the time you want to move if the department change or the function title changes, and then a fixed reference doesn't really make sense. So most of the time, if you're going to use this update option, you probably will use PowerShell. And this is a powerful option. So here you can see that I included the department as part of the person primary contract information, and I'm using the department part of the OU path. I can also show you that the department for this person is being used in the OU structure. So if David Brouwer gets an update from HR, so the person will be updated, he will be moved to the new department OU. I will jump around a little bit. So we also have changed the home directory structure. So this is a new option. So you still have the easy to use UI option, but with PowerShell you have more powerful options to manage the home directories. And these are the attributes that can be set and be managed by the agent. So you have more flexibility in the path. And again, I can see easily what the effect of the changes are that I use a change in my PowerShell script. So for example, if I want to use tools forever, of course a stupid example, but I can use this in, I can use anything I like. Okay, and I think another item I'd like to show you is in the account, you can import and export the mapping information. And I think that's pretty relevant if you have this option. If you go to account, this is already available on GitHub, so you can import and export PowerShell information, but now you can also use that for the mapping information. So that makes it more easy to manage that information as well. Let me jump to the rule change, and that you can see what the effect of the rule change is. I can make a modification to, for example, to this rule. And if I change the condition, you will see that people will be added here. So let me remove this demo flag, and you can immediately see that people are being added to this rule. I can also make changes to the entitlements. So let me add just a random entitlement. Also remove an entitlement. And now if I save and publish, it was always relatively easy, not always correct. But now this is a nice update. So you can see that I have included people in scope. I also changed the entitlements. I removed an entitlement and I added a retitlement. Now I can decide to cancel or to save and publish this rule. Okay, I think if I go to the target system, I think you're already familiar with this one with the source connectors, and now this is being executed via the agent. So this is relevant, of course, for all this PowerShell code is being executed by the agent in your network. But if you tick box this, it will be executed in the HelloID Tools Forever cloud environment. So then you don't need an agent anymore. Please remember that it needs to comply with Core 7 PowerShell. Okay, source system threshold information. So here you have thresholds already known on the target side. It was available since beginning of this year, but now we also have it on the source side. So again, same mechanism. I can use absolute values, but I can also use a percentage if 5% of the total population changes. then the threshold will be hit, and you get a marker that you're going to ask to confirm the changes, and you're absolutely sure that the changes are correct. Same thing with importing and export. Here's the import and export information. So we can easily make a copy of all the mapping information. And of course, this is a bit of a stupid example, but if I say I want to import, I can easily say paste it again. And it has also a little bit of an error checking in it. So it will verify if the syntax of the import is correct. Okay, I try to do this as quickly as possible. A lot of functionality is available. Of course, you can have a look at the doc site where everything you can take your own time to look at the information. So thank you for your attention so far. I see there are some questions. Jamie, can you read the questions for me?
Thank you so much, Cheered. All right, questions. Why are the security settings not part of the home directory PowerShell feature?
Yes, that's a good question, and you're absolutely correct. To set the security attributes on a home directory is not included in this version. Most likely, depending on the request, we will definitely add that to the product, but for now, it isn't. And the workaround or the other option is to do that via via PowerShell connector. Okay, thank you, Jamie. Next question.
Do you need to convert code from PowerShell Agent to PowerShell Cloud?
No, you don't have to do that unless you are using specific modules or DLLs on the agent side. But if you are working in a cloud environment, most likely you are not using those specific modules or DLLs. So you most likely you are just have to set and tick box the change to run it from the cloud, and you don't have to do any conversions at all. It would be it should be compatible. Okay, thank you.
Is the service desk category part of the API?
No, I think the question has to do with if the categories in the delegated forms are allowed to be managed via the API. And currently today that is not, but depending on, again, on the request we get for that functionality, we'll definitely add that API option to management of the delegated forms to automatically put them in the right category. Okay, I see this is the last question. Everybody, thank you again for your attention, and have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you next time with the September release. Okay, thank you, and have a very nice weekend. Bye-bye.